today I'm going to talk to you about sales commission. Hi everyone, my name's Paris over at Groove Consulting. I remember when I had my first sales job, this was probably around 10 years ago, and the compensation was very challenging, especially in Boston, Massachusetts. I was at $24,000 base pay, which was, yes, minimum wage, with unlimited, uncapped commission. Today I'm going to chat with you about different commission plans, different comp plans, whether you're hiring your first sales rep or maybe you're looking for a sales job. I'm going to talk you through what the averages are, what you should take, what you should not take or offer, etc. So I'm going to break it down into two different sales roles. First one is setters. You would probably also know as sales development representative or business development representative. Those are the folks that are setting meetings. And then I'm also going to break it down into closers. So closers are the ones responsible for doing a demo or doing sales calls and then closing the deal. Or if you were lucky like me, you had to do the entire full cycle. Okay, so cool. So we're going to break it down first for business development representative or sales development representative, also called SDR or BDR. I've also heard of some other titles like account development representative, whatever the title is. It's basically folks who are helping set the meeting, getting a hold of the decision maker, getting them on a call with a closer. So base pay, and let me break down kind of the different words I'm using. Base pay. So this is what you're getting paid regardless of what metrics you hit. This is for going to work, showing up, you're getting a paycheck on payroll or whatever. And then commission is obviously what you get paid for hitting certain metrics, whether it be scheduling a meeting, the meeting holding, closing a deal, them signing a contract, whatever the metric is, that's what I'm talking about for commission. OTE means on target earnings. Basically what this means is if you were to hit all the metrics, the deals that you're expected to close or set the meetings you're expected to set, this is what your end of year total pay would look like. So just explaining it a little bit better. Let's say my base pay is $60,000 and my on target earnings is $100,000. So that means if I hit my quota every single month or quarter, whatever, $40,000 would be what I would be taking home in commission to get to $100,000 for on target earnings. On target earnings are good to know, but let's be honest, most companies are setting crazy quotas. They don't forecast well, whatever. So it really depends on the rep if they care more about base pay or commission, whatever. Okay, going back to sales development representatives, SDRs, BDRs. So generally how it works is they will have a base pay and the range is typically $50,000 to $60,000. Of course, it depends where they're located. Is it remote? Is it in office? Unfortunately, most BDR, SDR roles are required to come into the office because it's an entry-level sales position. They're still learning how to cold call, how to pitch, how to get meetings, how to get those people to show up to the meetings. It's a grind. So that's typically what the base pay is. On target earnings is generally around $72,000 to $90,000. My source for this, by the way, is knowledge, just being in the industry, but also RepView is a really great resource to look up salaries, especially if you're watching this video in like 3 years or something. So that would, if the on target earnings is $72,000 to $90,000, that would make it about, a commission would be $22,000 to $40,000. And again, on target earnings is only if you're hitting your number. So that's what it is for SDR, BDR. And one thing you might hear too, recruiters say, is the split. So if base pay is $50K and commission is $90K, that is about a 60%, 40% split. So 60% base pay, 40% commission. Is there a perfect proportion? No. I mean, if you're a sales rep, it would be like 90, I don't know, 80%, 20% or something like that, where it's more base pay and commission is uncapped. But that's kind of the range for SDR, BDR roles. Moving on to closers. Closers could be called account executives. This could be junior account executive, senior account executive, etc. They're responsible for closing the deals. There's other titles, but most of my background's in SaaS, so I'm just going to stick to account executive. So account executive base salary is really going to range on the location that you're in. So if you're in, I don't know, Cleveland versus New York, it's going to be quite a bit different, but it's also going to range on the segment you're selling to. So if you're closing enterprise deals, the pay is going to be a lot higher than if you're closing SMB deals. For SMB, and when I say SMB, I'm just talking about small businesses, so average contract value would be less than $10,000. Okay, so for those types of roles, the base pay generally for an entry-level account executive could start around $60K. However, it really ranges, I would say, from $60K to $90K. I do think for SMB, it is going to be on the lower end. For enterprise, though, it goes a lot higher. So you could see way over $130K for base pay for enterprise. And part of that is because it takes such a long time to close enterprise deals, generally over 6 months. So they do have a higher base pay to account for that. If it's a more experienced account executive, let's say it's SMB or mid-market, whatever, maybe it could be closer 70 to 90K base. In my last AE roles, back when I was in sales, I started at 55,000. Well, technically I started at 24,000, but when I took on stage startup, it was around 55,000 base pay. That's with 2 years of experience as an AE. And then it went up to, I think, 70 to 80K base. So for commission, now again, this is based on software as a service because that's my background. Generally speaking, reps should be getting around 12% of the contract value when they close the deal. And I would say that's a big difference between SDR, BDR pay and AEs. For AEs, they're getting paid when the deal closes, whereas SDRs, BDRs, they're getting paid when the meeting's held or an opportunity is generated. So for commission, yeah, usually it's around 12%. That's really going to range, right, on how much the software costs, who you're selling to. On target earnings generally are $130,000 to over $300,000. I know it's a wide range. Obviously, 260K plus is more for enterprise, and at least in my experience. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're selling enterprise for, I don't know, Oracle or a huge pharmaceutical company, you could be making $500K a year. There's some companies where the AE is making more than the CEO of the company. Those are the best companies to work for, by the way, because if you're closing the biggest deals, I think you should be getting paid the most. There's a lot of sweat and tears that go into closing a deal. I know because I've dealt with it multiple times, especially if you're not hitting quota. It's like tears every night. So it's certainly a grind, but those are the typical pay ranges for base pay and on target earnings. Checking out things like Glassdoor or RepView specifically is a really great way to see how much is this going to cost. Look at competitors, whether you're applying to a company or you're hiring at a company, look at the competitors and see, what is a typical range for this. Of course, take into account experience and location as well, but these are the general ranges. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks so much. Bye.